Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everyone is having a great Thursday so far. When I tell you I almost forgot to live stream, I literally almost forgot to live stream. I thought today was Wednesday, so I thought I streamed yesterday, but in reality it has already been almost 2 days since my last live stream. So thankfully I realized that in time before we passed 6 o'clock Eastern. So let's see what we have here in the chat. So far today we have Misty, we have Caleb, we have Pete, as well as Void, Chris, and Caden. So glad to see all you guys in chat. Also glad to see everyone who may not be chatting, or if you are chatting and I forgot to welcome you, welcome to the stream. Quite a lot to talk about in this live stream. A lot with our main AOI you see in the background, and then of course still our tropical storm in the Eastern Pacific and our Cat 4 hurricane out there in going towards the Central Pacific now. So let's switch over. I'll just make sure everything's good. Everything seems good. I have the correct level this time. That was 0 out of 5. The other live stream we did, and then someone caught that in chat. So not really a lot changed yesterday. A lot of the stuff happened overnight last night into this morning, where they upped this quite substantially. It originally was at a 30%. They've slowly upped that to a 40%, and then a 50%, and then a 60%. But that day 7 probability, that one jumped quite a lot overnight. I think it was at 70% last night, and then in 2 or 3 updates they bumped it up to 90. So this 2-day probability didn't go up too much. It gradually went up, so it didn't go up too much in one update, but that day 7 one definitely went up quite a bit there, up to a 90% chance for development. So we'll continue to watch the NHC's probabilities on this. Eventually this is going to get to probably, I don't know how high it's going to get. It may get up to like a 90-90 or something. Sometimes a tropical depression is designated before things get to like 90-90 or 100-100. But either way, this is going to be a tropical depression, tropical storm, probably in the next 3 days or so. It was 80% last night. Well, not too surprised with that because I wasn't paying very close attention to it. But the last time I checked it last night, it was at a 70%. So when was that? Was that the 8 o'clock update? I didn't check. If it was the 11, or no, not the 11, the 2 a.m. update, you're in a different time zone. So I know you're... Okay, yeah, it was the 8 o'clock update. Really? I checked the 8 o'clock update. Well, my mistake. It was 80% actually yesterday afternoon. I just couldn't read right. It was literally 80% at the 2 p.m. update, so I apologize. So yesterday it was at a 30-70 when we woke up yesterday. at the 8 a.m. advisory, and then it went up to a 40-80, and then in the, let's see, the 8 o'clock update, it was still a 40-80, and then overnight it went to a 60-90. So it really jumped up overnight. Let's see, this morning it was a 50-80, and then in the afternoon update it was a 60-90, and then of course we don't have the 8 p.m. update just yet. So they've slowly gone up on those probabilities. Nothing was too drastic. The 2-day probability, if anything, was a little bit more, that climbed a bit quicker there. Went from a 30% to a 40%, and then in the next update it was a 40%, and then in the next one it went up to 50, and then obviously this one it went up to 60. So they are slowly climbing up with the probability of tropical development on this system. But the main thing you'll notice here, for those who tuned into Tuesday's live stream, we didn't have one yesterday, almost didn't have one today because, like I said, almost forgot. You'll notice two big things, and right off the bat, the main one you're going to notice is how much more south this AOI is. This AOI is substantially further south. I mean, when we were last live, I think this was angled like this or so. It was pointed up to the northwest, and barely the southern, or rather the northern Lesser Antilles, were barely in the southwest side of the day 7 cone. So this has really shifted very, very far south. And I know that for a fact because I'm looking at it right now. Another thing is they've kind of shortened the AOI, and that is because the system in itself has slowed down quite quickly. This system's going to have more time to develop, which should give it more time to become a hurricane. Maybe even we could be talking, depending on exactly where it goes, major hurricane status with this system. And this system is going to be a problem. 2 days ago, people were writing it off as a fish storm. And in my live stream, I said this really has a 50-50 shot, right? There's a 50% chance it goes towards Puerto Rico and the Northern Lesser Antilles, and there's a 50% chance it goes out to sea. Well, now we're closer to like an 80-20. 80% chance this thing goes into the Caribbean, 20% chance this is a fish storm. So there is a much higher chance that this thing is going to be impacting land now. And there's a pretty good shot that it gets close to possibly the Bahamas or Bermuda. It depends which way it goes. It could go up like this, or it could go up like this. We'll go through the two different main tracks here in just a bit. But either way, the Lesser Antilles need to be watching this very, very closely. It's looking more and more likely that this is going to be a tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane by the time it gets to you guys out there. Barely north of Barbados, going into Guadeloupe, probably very close to the U.S. and British Virgin Islands as we go towards, let's see, that would probably be like Thursday next week, about a week from today, maybe even later than that. Yeah, probably Friday next week. So 8 days out before it gets up there towards the U.S. and British Virgin Islands up there. Now, there's still a scenario where it goes out to sea. That was depicted by the Canadian model run, I believe. I haven't checked that. Okay, it still is out to sea. Yeah, I looked at the 0Z from yesterday, and it was out to sea, and the 12Z that rendered in earlier this afternoon is still out to sea. So our models are not in the best of agreement this close to where this system is. 7 days out, that's still a bit of uncertainty, but we have quite a lot of uncertainty here. A lot of our ensembles still, like a good half of them, take it out to sea. The other half take it into the Lesser Antilles, and that's specifically the GFS ensembles take it out to sea completely. Now the 12Z did finish rendering in here. I'm pretty sure I already looked at those, and all but like 2 were out to sea for this system. Let's see here. Okay, there's a few more that's further south. Only 3 actually impact the Central Lesser Antilles, and then there's another 2 ensembles that go really far south that are barely tropical depressions or a tropical storm, and then the others actually dissipate. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different ensembles that just don't even have the system being present up until the Lesser Antilles. It dies out right here on like half of our ensembles. And then it's kind of 50-50 after that. So 50% die out there, and then 25% take it towards the Lesser Antilles, 25% of it takes it out to sea. So pretty interesting there. The GFS ensembles haven't really been the best in terms of consistency. So we're definitely going to be looking at more of the European model run as opposed to the GFS ensembles. More of the European ensembles and the GFS ensembles. Gracious day. Can't English anymore. What about it going into the Gulf? Not impossible, but highly unlikely. Very, very unlikely. Although it's not fully out of the question. I think if it manages to go in the Gulf, the best chance is the Eastern Gulf, but I don't really think it's going to head that way. Personally, I think it's going to do something like this. That's what I'm thinking. And then it may go towards the Bahamas, may go towards the Bahamas and near the East Coast of the US, or it may just go up towards Bermuda after that. I'm not too sure about this point. But from here, I mean, the models aren't confident, but just looking at the background and the environment and some of the ensembles, I'm pretty confident this is going to develop into a tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane by the time it gets to the Lesser Antilles, and then hit the Lesser Antilles and then go up towards the northern Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, maybe very close to the Dominican Republic. And then from there on out, that's 10 days out. That's where uncertainty is insane. That's where your spread is like this large, right? Some ensembles take it up towards Bermuda. Some take it towards, I think the European Deterministic takes it near Jamaica. If I'm not mistaken, I swear I saw that. Let me see. European Deterministic 12Z. Yeah, the European model run literally takes it barely north of Jamaica. It literally takes it north of Jamaica, and then it brings it into western Cuba, and then actually into the Eastern Gulf, and then into Florida. But it's a very, very weak tropical wave, not even a tropical depression. It's more of just a rainstorm. So that's crazy. I don't think we're going to see it go that far south. That would be crazy south. But yeah, our system right now, this has been designated 91L. So it's actually not that bad right now. Like, you could see clearly we have a blob of convection, and then we also have a low pressure attempting to form. Now, I don't expect this to organize in the next 3 days into anything more than a tropical depression, maybe a weak tropical storm. Really, it's going to be that day 4 through 7 time frame that this really, really gets intensifying on. But some models are very fast with intensification. So obviously today's Thursday. We don't expect any development. Tomorrow we could see some development of that low pressure getting a bit more organized. Saturday night into Sunday is really the big day, because some models have it being a tropical storm Sunday afternoon, whereas others barely have it even having a low pressure at that point, and it's just a disorganized invest. So that would be the very key time frame there. The GFS is one of the more aggressive model runs, having a probably mid-tier Category 2 hurricane. By the time we get to Tuesday morning, it is about a Category 2 Tuesday morning. That's 126 hours out or so. And that's definitely the most aggressive model run there. So really, I want to go ahead and dive on into the ensembles here to show you the realm of possibilities. Let me see. Zoom out. I want to zoom in here. All right, there's the GFS ensembles on weathernerds.org. We're going to switch over here. Ignore that satellite imagery. I've got to change that. That is a glitch on College Dew page. You could see on the screen above you. That's the border of Nevada and California right there. And Oregon and California. So, yeah, ignore that. There's not a Category 4 over there. There you go. Just fixed it. I'm going to have to switch that to another sector, though, because this sector's bugged. I don't want anyone thinking a Cat 4 is over California right now. Let's see. Can I get a regional, perhaps, sector? Not close enough. You know what? We'll keep it to the west coast of the U.S. We'll go actually a little further down. There we go. That's a tropical storm right there near Baja California. And it is likely going to die out over the next 2 to 3 days. Remember in our last live stream, we talked about this being a tropical storm and heading into Baja California, or it just dying out, and we've opted with the just dying out instead of this actually making landfall. So I'm pretty sure they canceled all tropical storm watches and warnings on the last update, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Hurricane, my foot. That ain't no hurricane. Yeah, no tropical storm watches or warnings are active, but apparently this is still did I not refresh this or something? There ain't no way that's a hurricane. What in the world? Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's a tropical storm. That's a tropical storm. What I was doing, I had the archive graphics up. I'm like, there's no way that's a hurricane. Yeah, so it is a tropical storm now, and like I said, all tropical storm watches and warnings have been canceled for that, so that's good. I was looking at that before I started the live stream to see how that NHC cone has changed. I should have showed that before I clicked off. The cone literally switched. Like one update, it was going into Mexico, and then the next update, it was going out to sea for the main cone of uncertainty. So the switch up on that was insane. But yeah, anyways, here's the GFS ensembles, and again, 50% of them die out right in here. We lose 50% of our ensembles. The other 25% goes up here, and then the other 25% goes down here. So half of them just die. Half of the ensembles are just gone. The system doesn't even form into anything more than a weak tropical depression, borderline tropical storm. And then whatever's left, the other half is split between out to sea and impacting the Lesser Antilles and going closer to whether it be the Caribbean or the Bahamas. And right now, I don't agree with this. Just straightforward. I don't agree with this whatsoever. If we go to the European ensembles, this will show you a much better thing to depict here. There's your two main scenarios. Scenario one is the most likely case scenario, which I said has about an 80% chance of happening at this point, where we see a tropical storm or a hurricane impact the central and especially the northern Lesser Antilles, and then the 20% off chance that this thing just goes around the Bermuda High and goes out to sea. So that's much, much easier to understand there. It looks like it's most likely going to head towards the northern Lesser Antilles. So that's going to be the main area we need to keep an eye on. And then if it does impact the Lesser Antilles, if it's more north, it's going to be able to hopefully be picked up by that high pressure and maybe go west of Bermuda, east of North Carolina, just like Aaron did, not causing too many issues. But if it does stay more south, well, it's definitely going to aim it more towards the Bahamas and the eastern U.S. So that's where our main uncertainty is the highest, right here. And this is the day 10 time frame, right around day 10. So I'm pretty confident that it is going to go into the Lesser Antilles as a tropical storm or a hurricane. After that, it's anybody's guess. It is anybody's guess after that. I haven't checked this is the Google ensembles or whatnot, and you can see many of those just don't develop it either. But the ones that do develop it bring it into a tropical storm or a tropical depression into the Lesser Antilles. So we'll need to watch it very closely. Oftentimes, these systems definitely, most of the time, develop quicker than forecasted. We saw it with Aaron. I don't even want to go into how many hurricanes develop quicker than forecasted, but global models aren't good at handling the background environments once you get closer and closer to the day of. For instance, like Aaron, half of our global models, if you remember our briefings on it, half of the global models were like 20 millibars way too high, or even 30 millibars way too high. So I don't know if we've got our 12Z hurricane models in just yet, because this did recently get designated as an invest. So, okay, they are in. Sweet. So these are going to be way better. And I'm curious to see. This is the H-Wharf hurricane model. And there you go. Tropical storm Sunday morning. Tropical storm Sunday morning. And maybe borderline hurricane Monday morning. And it does seem like the H-Wharf has some issue that happens in here. It might be dry air. Probably not dry air. Looking for any other vorticity blobs too. So it just looks like this thing kind of falls apart for some reason. But it does become a tropical storm and even a hurricane, possibly even a hurricane, definitely a hurricane. 85 knots there, 984, 85 knots, definitely a category high in category 1, borderline category 2 hurricane on the H-Wharf model run Monday morning. And the H-Mon, we got to zoom in more, but at least we'll be able to see it. All right, so tropical depression at best right now. Not, oh, well, there you go. Tropical Storm Tuesday. Tropical Storm Tuesday on the H-Mon and the HAFSA model run, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think it is a pretty good hurricane model run, but it's not my favorite. All right, right off the bat, that's what I was looking for. This little guy right here, this is another low pressure. You can see another low pressure here. You see the wind barbs rotating around the low. And if that does happen, it will disrupt the main core of 91L. And it doesn't look like that affects it too much. It definitely does to some extent on the eastern side, but not really anything too disruptive there. It maintains tropical storm status all the way from Sunday night all the way into Tuesday morning until the model run doesn't go out any further. Now, the HAFSB, that's my personal favorite hurricane model run. We'll see if it's probably, watch it be the worst. Okay, well, there you go. Already a tropical storm Sunday afternoon. And we are at probably hurricane status very early Monday morning. That is wind speeds of 60 knots there. Maybe, yeah, that's still category 1, maybe going towards mid-tier category 1. And then it does fall apart and then reorganizes. So overall, definitely tropical development going into Sunday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all of our hurricane models agree on that. Although I think it was the H-Mond that has it being the weakest. I think the H-Mon, yeah, the H-Mon is the one that barely develops it. All of our other ones develop it pretty well. So our ensembles don't really reflect on that. If we go back to your GFS ensembles, and I do want to zoom out here. Let's see. Zoom out. You could see, I don't think any of these have it being a hurricane. Let's see. Hold on a second, y'all. 120 hours out. That's what I was looking for. Time frame. 120 hours out. Yeah, I mean, half of these are still in the 1000. So only one of these ensembles have a okay hold on it. And that's the one that has a 996 millibar. And that's the one that actually takes it further out to sea. So, yeah, does something crazy. Look at that. Does a sharp left turn there, then just dissipates it. So our ensembles, especially GFS ensembles, not handling it well whatsoever. European, way better on the European ensembles. That's why I'm really using the European ensembles in this stream. Well over half of them have a millibar less than 1010. Matter of fact, almost all of them. There's 1010 right there. I think only one of them has a millibar at 1010. I don't see any others. Most are between 1009 and like 998. Yeah, but I think the European ensembles are way more realistic. And then I haven't been a fan of these. These are the GFS, or not the GFS, the Google type ensembles, and I don't think those are accurate at the moment. And then I don't even know what this is, but this is definitely not accurate. That's definitely not very accurate. Although it does, hold on, can we zoom out? Because that does have a tropical storm developing. So I want to zoom back out and see, where do these take it? Because that's not, oh my goodness, that is so far south. That's a problem. Okay, there is definitely one more realistic one. You see this one right here, 996 millibar. That's a bit more realistic, but man, I think these are way too far south. I think those are way too far south. Got a tornado warning up here in New York. No spectrum with confirmation there. CC's very light. Got to find out where our radar is. Our radar is from the northwest, so that could be hail contamination, considering where your radar beam is located to the storm. You could see the radar beam is going right into the main heavy precipitation or maybe small hail portion of the storm. But yeah, Boonville in New York, get to your safe spot. Active tornado warning there. Very weak area of rotation, capable of producing a very brief, weak tornado. I don't think that's a CC drop on radar, although this may be able to produce a tornado. It is definitely able to produce a tornado, but it may produce one at any second here, because that couplet's not the worst, especially when it went over Boonville. So I don't think that's a CC drop correlated to debris, but still could drop or may have already dropped a tornado. So that's in pretty far up there in New York. Pretty far up there in New York. We had 2 tornado warnings back in eastern Tennessee earlier today. And then we do have the chance for some cold core funnels back up here, where we actually have a severe thunderstorm warning now. Back up here in southwest Minnesota. So one of these or a few of these could produce some cold core funnel clouds. So let's go over to the models again. All right, this is the new GFS. See what that has. Okay, very reasonable. Very reasonable. A bit south, but very reasonable. And I think that is possible. I think the GFS is developing a little too quickly into a major hurricane northwest of Barbados, but that is a realistic scenario. And I would almost guarantee the rest of this model run. Prepare Twitter. Make sure you stay off Twitter for the rest of the night. Quit looking at Twitter, because this is probably going to take it right into the Bahamas and then into probably South Carolina. Just based on the only wild card is this cold front here on this model run. That's a big wild card on what's going to happen with this model run. But the high pressure definitely favors this right into North Carolina, South Carolina. Where did the 12Z take it? The heck? Florida? What the heck? And then it reintends. Wow, that thing goes from a tropical storm to a probably high-end, maybe mid-tier category 2. Probably mid-tier category 2 hurricane there. That is crazy. Can we just see that one more time here? So, off the screen becomes a hurricane. Now a category 2 hurricane at this point. Category 2, maybe getting to the mid to upper tier Cat 2 by the time it gets into the Lesser Antilles. Still right around the mid to up tier Cat 2. Still Cat 2. Could be borderline Cat 3, but probably still closer to Cat 2 status there. 228 hours out. Still around Cat 2. Weakens down to probably Cat 1 again as it hits the Bahamas. And then quickly weakens into a tropical storm. Tropical storm, tropical storm, tropical storm. And then it just, from one frame, it jumps from a high-end tropical storm to probably a Category 2 hurricane in one frame. And then hits North Carolina, South Carolina border. That's the 12Z run. And I think the 18Z is probably up for a very similar fate there. Probably a very similar fate there for the 18Z model run. Big difference between the two is the 18Z is more south. So that's the problem here. We've got some models that don't even develop it into a tropical storm. And then we've got others that spit out a major hurricane. So the best bet is to go in the middle, which is what the title and the thumbnail is. A tropical storm being likely with the possibility of a hurricane. And the spread, I mean, I know the GFS ensembles take it fully out to sea, like away from the Lesser Antilles completely, but I really don't think this thing's going to go much more north than about here. I think that's like is the maximum north this thing goes. And then this could go this far south too. So like that's our spread. That's our spread. It could go anywhere between here. Right? And then of course, as you get closer to where that thing's located, it's going to get lower and lower. I don't know exactly where it's located here. It's somewhere off your screen, located somewhere over there. But your spread gets a lot larger with time. For instance, here's the 12Z Euro. And if we pull this out, where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it comes. There it is. Tropical storm at best, and it's gone. Tropical storm max hitting the Lesser Antilles, and then it just falls apart. I am considering this an outlier. Honestly, why do I... What? Hold on, Lucky texted me, and I didn't expect to hear from him. Oh. Yeah, I think the 12Z European model run is an outlier. I'm not listening to it. And the number one reason is if I go to the Tropical Atlantic here. I mean, it's not impossible, but I just don't find it... It's likely not handling this area of spin that well. Can we 700 vorticity here? Yeah. See, it's likely ingesting this low pressure too aggressively, which ends up destroying our tropical storm, and it doesn't get its act together. So at this point, Monday morning, it's a tropical storm at this point. So it's on track with our other guidance. But once that other vorticity blob hits it, it's like from there on out, it starts to struggle with its storm structure, and it never really recovers after that. And then once it passes the Lesser Antilles, I mean, it's difficult to even see this on the Euro model run. And then as it gets towards the Dominican Republic, I mean, it's completely gone. And then, of course, we do have other waves to watch in the main development region. None of those are an immediate concern. So we're just going to take this one system at a time, which is mainly with this one right here. I do want to go compare it to the GFS, though. Yeah, and you can see the GFS never organizes this, right? So it just stays as a large area of vorticity, maybe a little area of more organized vorticity here, but that's not going to hurt our tropical storm. And the GFS knows that. It's like, okay, it's just some vorticity, whatever. I'm going to ingest it and do nothing else with it and strengthen. That is a much more realistic scenario, although I think it is possibly intensifying it a little bit too fast, maybe. But then again, I've had a lot of experience with these systems before already. I'm not going to say the three systems this reminds me of, but it seems like there's always a chance for Hurricane to fully outperform model guidance. So I wouldn't be overly surprised if there's a scenario on the table where this is a major hurricane by the time it gets to the Lesser Antilles. That would not shock me. But the lower end is also a tropical depression, so it's anyone's guess for the intensity. It's really anyone's guess. If I go here, actually a few of these, so by the time it gets to the Lesser Antilles, that's like 132 or so hours out. That's right here. And really only one model has that getting to high in Cat 2, low in Cat 3. At least on this chart. And you can see the majority of them are right in here with a tropical storm. So if I'm in the Lesser Antilles, I'm preparing for a tropical storm to a hurricane. Honestly, I would prepare for a hurricane. Keep a very close eye on it. Start your very early preparations now if you are anywhere from just south of Barbados all the way up to Puerto Rico. Start those early preparations, because once we get closer, you'll know, okay, do I need to continue these preparations or am I good? And we're not going to know that until probably Sunday night is when we'll really know. Sunday night is when we'll really know what this system's going to do for the Lesser Antilles. Sunday night, we'll be able to figure out, okay, is it a tropical storm at this point? Is it a tropical depression? What's the environment look like in front of it? And then once if we get into Monday, it may be a tropical storm or even a hurricane at that point. And now let's see where the rest of the GFS takes this. Yeah, so it takes it right into Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands there. Have a question. How do you know, for example, when an MCD is issued? Do you just keep refreshing the SPC hoping to see something, or do you have something that gives you a notification? I follow the SPC on Twitter, and so that's what gives me the notification the fastest. But if it is a severe weather day, yes, I have the SPC mesoscale discussions up, and I'm refreshing it consistently. Also, I have like Radar Omega and Weatherwise that have MCDs on, especially Radar Omega. Still got that tornado warning up here. Definitely did weaken, but I wouldn't be shocked if it did produce or got very close to producing a tornado near Boonville. Like I said, I don't think that CC drop was actually correlated with debris, but I mean, even this was even rotating well before Boonville in New York. Once it passed Boonville, that's when it fell apart. A little bit of weaker velocities trying to come back together, but probably not going to be able to fully re-intensify there. I don't really know right now, Ben. I mean, the spread of it is insane. I'm not, outside of saying tropical storm likely and hurricane possible, I'm not really much more confident in anything higher than that. The environment is supportive of a major hurricane, but there's a lot of things that could work against it in terms of just the storm not being able to fully use up that environment. Let's see here. Really? That is a lot of flash flood warnings. I wonder if that is correlated with our tropical storm. I'm going to go to radars real quick. It could be. I don't think it's directly correlated to it, but just some of the moisture it brings up could help. And that will be the case for tomorrow as well and the day following. Yeah, most of the moisture from that is mainly out here. So it's not like directly tied to our tropical storm way off to the southwest. It's currently located right there. 90% chance of it forming. I'm very confident in a tropical storm. And I'm pretty confident we'll see a hurricane. Anything more than a Category 1 hurricane, I don't know for sure. Look, GFS has another tropical storm in 200 hours. Looky there. Yeah, so like I said, Sunday night is really going to be when we'll know what this system's doing, because that's when it's finished ingesting that other vorticity blob. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy how fast that develops on the GFS. Yes, it is Invest 91L? 91? 91, yep. But in my opinion, it's probably going to be a troublemaker. To be honest with you, I know some models are very, very lenient with the development of this system, but I'm pretty confident in a scenario like the GFS is showing. I think it probably a bit weaker, but something around what the GFS is showing, I think, is actually a very real possibility. And I think the European ZRZ also agreed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, see, that just doesn't happen often. That just straight up doesn't happen often. When you get the European and the GFS to agree on a hurricane, that's trouble. That is trouble. And especially when they both agree. I mean, they both agreed on like the. Oh my goodness. Okay. There's one thing that really comes to mind when you see an image like that on the European model run right there. I think we're all thinking of the same hurricane just past its anniversary. Come on now. But yeah, I don't know. The Euro, very aggressive with that. Very, very aggressive with that. And then the 12Z is just like, yeah, nah, nothing. It went from high in Cat 4, borderline Cat 5 to like nothing. Tropical storm at best. And so I really just think the 12Z, I'm pretty much disregarding it. Unless that continues. If that does continue, then I'll really pay attention to it. But till then, I'm disregarding it. Something I also want to point out is the GFS's trend. Look at the GFS trend here. This was... Alright, so this was the afternoon run of September 1st. So this was the day before our last live stream. This was Monday afternoon. And watch the shift south. Not that big right now. Not that big right now, but right in here is when it started really shifting south on these last few runs. Right in, there you go. I gotta go back up this way, hold on. There we go. So watch how it shifts south, 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 outlier, south, 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 south. There you go. Very, very far south on all those runs. So I'll go all the way back to the afternoon of Monday. And then again, afternoon run Monday. Big shift south. South, south, south. Oh, outlier. And it just keeps going more and more south with time. But you could spot the outliers on that for sure. Like the outliers that just don't have it develop at all. Just make it disappear. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to do it one more time because I want to show exactly every run. So again, Monday afternoon run. And it shifts further to the south. There you go. Now that doesn't have nearly as many outliers. This is using all the GFS runs in the last couple days. So again, south, 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 south. Not really any crazy outliers. And another thing I'm also paying attention to with this, multiple things. Paying attention to this high pressure. Why in the heck is my pen so small? That high pressure, and is that like a trough? I'm assuming that's a trough, but I want to go check. Tuesday. Let's see here. Yeah, so this is 126 frames out. Yeah, that is a trough. So there's a trough up here. Right up in here, there's a trough. So you've got your steering current here is a very sharp, strong high pressure. So you've got a strong high pressure here. A very strong high pressure here. And you've got a trough that is coming in, impeding on that high pressure and riding the northern side of that high. You've got the weaker portions of your high pressure down in here. So this steering is west, west, and then this is where it starts to pull more northwest like that. But you've also got this one too, so this is also helping to pull south. So what you have here is you definitely have unless this goes north, you've got a pattern where this is definitely set to go towards the US. Because that guy is a blocking high. So this is shut off. You can't pass through here. And unless the system starts up here, you're not going to be passing through a little narrow corridor like what Aaron did earlier last month. That was last month at this point. Wow, time flies. And then that trough swings in. So that trough, you can see the trough here. Trough swings in, pushes out your high pressure. So your high goes from the northeast back towards the, oh, what's that high pressure called? I forgot what this one's called. It's not the Bermuda high. It's the other high. Azores high, I think. And now you've got a little bit more of a difficult steering pattern here. Now, you still have a high pressure that is set up over the eastern U.S., so you're still funneling this. This is still being funneled into the U.S. I hate to say it, but this is definitely funneled into the U.S. with this high pressure set up like that. But you also have a low pressure with a cold front here, so that's very difficult to determine where this would go. Either it's going to try to sneak through that cold front, with the cold front being very weak with southwest extent, and it may just be pulled into, I mean, shoot, it might be pulled into Florida because of that high pressure. I wonder if it's going to get pulled into Florida on this run. Shoot, it might even just stall. It might even just stall because you've got winds coming out of the southeast here because of your low, and then your northwest from here. I wouldn't be shocked if this just stalls at one point on the GFS. You could see it slowed down quickly, right? Look at that. It slowed down very, very quickly once it got kind of just to the southwest of that low and southeast of that high. Now, that is more of an out-to-sea storm right there. That's more of an out-to-sea storm because you've got your high pressure here, and you can see it's definitely much closer to that high pressure. So that one's probably just going to go fly out to sea. Matter of fact, it already is on the GFS. Look at that. That high pressure grabs it. Just gets a hold of it. But with this system, your high pressure, this is like literally, this is perfect. This is literally perfect for a system to sneak under the high pressure. So if your high pressure just stays here, this thing's going to be going up and around that high pressure. But watch where your high goes. You'll see your high pressure shifts off to the west. And because it shifts west, it's now more west, and it also weakens as it shifts west, and you get a different high pressure that takes over more northeast. And it stays, that high pressure is staying north. That is so unique. So you've got a high pressure, this is your Azores high, that would normally steer it right out to sea. But that shifts off to the west, you get a new high pressure that becomes your Azores high, still in generally the same area, but that's a bit more to the northeast. And then you get another one that shifts it even more north. So this high pressure just doesn't steer our hurricane. Our steering pattern is really not even involving that high pressure anymore. It's mainly this low pressure moving up here. And so that's winds funneling up like that. And then your high pressure obviously moving in this direction here. That's going to pull, I'm telling you, is that going to literally pull it into Florida? It's stalling it. Look at it. Barely even moved on the last 6 hours of this model run. The only reason why I'm doing this far out is because of I'm curious to see your steering pattern on this model run. But you can see the 12Z, it all changes. It all changes. For the worse, actually. Much for the worse. Because your high pressure is way up here. Why in the world? Way up here. So your high pressure has almost next to no influence over this guy. This is your 12Z run, and that is mainly influenced by your low pressure. So your low pressure is pulling it up like this. And the 0Z from yesterday. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So you've got a high pressure. This is a bit of a weaker high pressure over here. Still a large one, but a bit weaker. So that's blocking it from going into the US. And then your Azores high is close enough to influence it to go out to sea. Ooh. Ooh. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. A stalling out Cat 3 hurricane right there because of your front. So what I'm gathering from this is there's one huge player in this hurricane's kind of turning ordeal, and it's this guy right here, this low pressure, because that's what's causing it to stall. And is this, I wonder if this is the same at all on the European 0Z from yesterday. Oh, there's her low pressure. So on this one, it just moves out to sea. That low pressure just books it out of here. It's way quicker. GFS, it very much slows down. And the Euro has that low pressure speeding up. Man. So on the Euro, it sneaks under the high and the low, and it goes right into the Bahamas and Florida. It on the new GFS, it may. It's just fully. It's almost completely stalled here. So you've got a low pressure here. This is your steering. You've got a low pressure that's moving winds this way. Very weak. A decently strong high pressure that's trying to funnel winds in this way. So now this has turned into a complete blocking high. And you've got a low pressure that's turning winds this way with its cold front trailed down to where the high is. And then your main Azores high, which is funneling this one out to sea. So this is just a stalling pattern. You've got a low pressure cold front down in here with a high pressure blocking it from going anywhere. I'm very curious to see how this one plays out on the GFS. Because this is just a blocking high. You can see it. This is literally just blocking. It's just a blocking high. And I don't think that low pressure is strong enough to pull it out. A lot of the times, actually, our low pressure, the tail end of our cold front from our low pressure is able to latch on to a tropical system, and that pulls it right out to sea. So say your low is here, and you've got a cold front that trails down from that low pressure all the way down to Florida. Well, sometimes your tropical system hits that low pressure, and that low pressure continues to move to the northeast. So what's it do? Well, it just drags it right on out with it and sharply turns it up to the northeast. But like I said, in this case, I don't know if this high pressure is going to let that happen. I'm very much invested in this model run because this is a crazy scenario. This is a crazy scenario. You've got so many moving parts. We only got another 96 frames left on this model run, so we're almost out of frames here. 96 hours, I should say. I mean, you could still see your low pressure's getting out of there now because your Azores high is pulling it. So if this doesn't start moving in the next 2 more frames here, then we know that cold front's just going to go. Oh, it is a little bit pulling it there. A little bit more northeast trajectory. Your high pressure's starting to move out. You can see your highs up here, but it still has that blocking high pressure. But that's only 1,014 millibars. So now this thing could go anywhere. That high pressure completely moved. Went from North Carolina, Virginia, all the way up to freaking Newfoundland. disregard all models but the Euro, then you're going to be wrong 90% of the time. Depends on which ones you're disregarding. Right now, I'm fully disregarding the 12Z Euro. That's an outlier, so... It's still stalling there. That's just crazy. So, yeah, if we go back here... If we go back here again... You see the 18Z GFS develops this into a hurricane rather quickly. Tropical storm Sunday night. And then a hurricane likely Monday afternoon on the GFS run. And then borderline major hurricane as it hits the Lesser Antilles. And like I said, I'm disregarding the 12Z Euro because it screws up the vorticity blob and it's way too far south. So 0Z Euro. And the 0Z Euro has a tropical storm Monday. And then a borderline, very quickly intensifying hurricane from 0Z Wednesday morning all the way to 0Z Thursday. Goes from tropical storm to maybe mid-tier Cat 2 there. Still turning. So it looks like the 18Z is probably going to take it out to sea. Because you've got a high pressure that's blocking it. And then you have that trailing cold front that's trying to pull it up with the Azores high. So maybe it is just going to go out to sea on this run. But 12Z was completely different. 0Z, the following one, was actually not that off. This 0Z from yesterday, not that far off from the 12Z we're looking at, or the 18Z rather, that is currently rendering in. But overall, these are just deterministics. You don't really want to use either one of them that seriously. The main thing we want to use is ensembles. And the 12Z and 0Z Euro ensembles are some of the most accurate things we have for forecasting. So if we zoom this out, the GFS does pretty good with severe weather. The GFS ensemble does good with severe weather, but the Euro is better for tropical weather in terms of ensembles. So if we have the Euro ensembles here, you could see a few that have a scenario as it goes out to sea, but the majority have this going into the northern Lesser Antilles, and then something happens right in here, and that's a very, very narrow corridor. That is very narrow. Typically, our ensemble spread is like going to be that large, right? But you have this very congealed amount of ensembles that actually are quite confident in it going well north of Puerto Rico rather quickly. One goes right into Puerto Rico. Now from there, it just looks like it's going to go out to sea, but it all comes down to that steering pattern and where that cold front's located and where the highs are. So, personally, I'm quite confident we're going to see a tropical storm impact the Lesser Antilles, maybe even a hurricane impact the Lesser Antilles. And after it leaves the Lesser Antilles, that's where my question marks are after here. So that's what I'm quite confident on. Tropical storm, borderline hurricane heading towards the Lesser Antilles and impacting the Lesser Antilles Thursday into Friday. Our hurricane models are at least a little bit on board with that. Not, they don't go out as far as our ensembles, but you could see most of them. Tropical storm. This one I don't think has a tropical storm. Yep, no oh, this is a new one coming in. older one, Tropical Storm. That is the weakest one. This one, Tropical Storm. And then finally this one, Tropical Storm. So, very well organized Tropical Storm on the HAFSB. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and share the stream with your family, friends, social media. It's greatly appreciated. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel with the notification bell set to all, so you know when I go live at next. Next live stream. Tomorrow's Friday. We'll probably do one tomorrow. Yeah. We'll probably do another live stream tomorrow. I was going to do a video, but we'll probably just do another live stream tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern. And then I know Saturday I'm not able to do anything, and we'll see about Sunday. All right, go back to... What about the Euro AI? What about the AI Euro? This is one I haven't seen just yet. What? Okay. Okay, what? Is this model run, like, stupid? I mean, I sure hope this happens, but gracious, we've got a... I mean, this doesn't even look like there's an AOI for anything. Yeah, I think that model runs out to lunch at the moment. Pretty sure it's out to lunch. I sure did. I got in a severe storm. Thankfully kept power, which was a shocker. But I kept power. All right, one more thing before we start wrapping up our stream here. I do want to go over some severe weather real quick. So most of our severe weather is done for today across the mid-Atlantic and the northeastern U.S. There's still the chance for some scattered thunderstorms later on today, and that will mainly be across the Piedmont Triad in North Carolina and in far northwest South Carolina. Very scattered heavy rain showers, very isolated thunderstorms across the northeastern U.S. The main severe threat today for the rest of today is going to be focused in this very small corridor right in here, specifically this small area for the next 2 hours. That's going to be where your main severe threat is, and that's going to be from now, 7 o'clock, all the way till about 10 o'clock Eastern tonight. And then going into tomorrow, we actually have a slight risk for severe weather, and much of our severe storms won't pop off until probably about 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. So this is 6 o'clock on the HRRR, and it finally starts to initiate thunderstorms. Now, the worst of these storms will definitely be across Kentucky, especially much of central into eastern Kentucky. We could see a couple tornadoes, especially if we see any discrete supercells like this manage to mature. We definitely have a chance for a couple tornadoes. Damaging winds of 70, maybe even a gust of 75 will be possible, and then some large hail up to about 1.5 inches will also be a possibility. The tornado threat is very low back out here towards Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas. That main tornado threat really should be focused in this area here. That's where I'm thinking our greatest tornado threat is. I don't think the SPC will upgrade to a 5%. I don't think it's that high end of a tornado threat. Most likely we'll keep it at a 2% tornado risk. And then going into Saturday, oh, they did expand this. This used to just be a small marginal, like right in here. But they did expand this. So much of the eastern U.S., all the way from Maine, all the way down into central North Carolina, is going to be seeing widespread 60-mile-an-hour winds. Could see a few gusts of 70 miles per hour, some hailstones up to 1 inch in diameter. There will be the possibility for a tornado, mainly focused back up here in the northeastern U.S., and that is for Saturday. Beyond that, there's a lot of uncertainty, and it doesn't look like we have any notable severe threats still in the future. Nothing very notable. A lot of this stuff is very mesoscale and very much last minute. kind of a last minute ordeal. Also, of course, have our Category 4 hurricane out here. In the going into the Central Pacific, it's still, I guess it's still in the Eastern Pacific, but it's kind of right on that border of Eastern and Central Pacific. Big time Category 4 hurricane out there, expected to re-intensify into a upper echelon Category 4 hurricane, possibly with winds of 145 miles per hour. That's a dead mid-tier Category 4 hurricane. But honestly, could even get up to 150 miles per hour early tomorrow morning. Would not shock me. Sometime between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. tomorrow Eastern time if this gets up to 150 Cat 4. But this is going to be something big for Hawaii. Now, likely not going to be a hurricane. We ain't seen a hurricane hit Hawaii in 30-some years. But a tropical storm is a pretty rare occurrence. Once a year at most. So if you are in Hawaii, definitely want to keep an eye on this as we go into next Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, about 7-ish days. Should be later than Tuesday. I saw people saying Tuesday, but I don't think it will be. Nope, it is going to be Tuesday. Yeah, never mind. They're correct. Tuesday into Wednesday. Looks like we'll see tropical storm impacts very close to Hawaii. Now, we may not see direct damaging winds associated with a tropical storm, but definitely very high surf, strong rip currents, gusty winds, isolated very heavy rain, even if it passes north of the island. Now, if it directly hits the island, then you're looking at a much greater threat of all those impacts. So we'll need to continue to watch the model runs and especially see where the NHC is forecasting this to go. We'll need to watch that really closely. So just keep a very close eye on that if you are in Hawaii. Again, watching from really Monday night all the way until Thursday morning. Monday night, it should be somewhere around here, and then Thursday morning, it should be somewhere around here. Alrighty. I think that is about it. Only one more thing here is that flash flood threat I mentioned before in our live stream 2 days ago. I said they could upgrade to a slight risk for Friday, and they did. This is tomorrow's outlook for Friday. We have a slight risk for flash flooding. That will be associated from the leftover moisture from this tropical storm previous hurricane that is no longer forecasted to directly hit Baja California. So that's about it for this live stream. Main takeaway from this live stream is the potential for 70-mile-an-hour winds, 1-inch hail, and a tornado or two across Kentucky tomorrow. And of course, the tropics. Biggest thing is the potential for direct tropical storm impacts. Maybe direct, maybe indirect, just depends if it's a little north. Right now, if you follow the NHC, I mean, that's going to be very close to a landfall right there. So most likely, very close call to a tropical storm for Hawaii going into Tuesday, Wednesday. And then our big boy over here, 91L, currently well off to the west of Cape Verde, very far from the Lesser Antilles. Looks like most of our guidance is in a good general agreement of it tracking somewhere in this vicinity here. Actually, a little bit more north there. Somewhere in this vicinity. That's where most of our guidance is. Now, once that gets towards the Dominican Republic or near Bermuda, that's where your uncertainty is much higher. But pretty confident it's going to be somewhere in that area. It's probably going to be closer to the southern end of this. To be honest with you, those trends are still going south, so really it could be more like this for our potential tracks, because some go extremely far south, so we'll have to see how those models continue to just see which way those continue to trend here. So just keep an eye on this. Main thing, if you're in this area, keep a very close eye on Invest 91L. It's likely to become a tropical storm very early next week, probably on a Monday. Looks to be the best chance for that. And then there is a chance it becomes a hurricane towards the middle half of next week. And then maybe even a major hurricane is a possibility. Not likely, but a possibility as we go towards the end of next week. Once this thing gets probably near Puerto Rico. So, realms of possibilities. I mean, our ensemble runs are like this is our realm of possibilities on our models and ensembles, but our Euro ensembles, which is what I'm most confident in, that's a much tighter spread between like this area and this area. So that's the main region to watch. But yeah, that's going to be about it. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys on tomorrow's live stream. Will be live tomorrow. And again, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Share the channel and the stream with your family, friends, social media. Remember, this information is still going to be good for the next probably 12 to 24 hours. The only thing that may change is the 2-day probability will probably go up to 70% sometime tomorrow, probably before we end up doing that live stream. And I'll see you guys at 6 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. We'll have the Remember 3-minute outro music here. No live stream Saturday. There's no live stream Saturday. Possibly live stream Sunday. We'll just have to see. But definitely stream tomorrow. Definitely stream tomorrow. Definitely no stream Saturday. And then we'll just see where we're at Sunday. So appreciate you guys tuning in once again. And I didn't know the GFS ever showed something for Michigan. I don't think Michigan's going to see snow anytime soon. That's really staying up in Canada. But yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next one. We actually went a little bit over our time today, but that's perfectly fine. I wanted to make sure you guys were completely weather aware. So once again, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I will catch you guys in tomorrow's live stream right around 6 o'clock Eastern time. Same time tomorrow we'll be live. And just make sure you guys are still staying hyper weather aware out there, especially if you're in Kentucky. Tomorrow could see a few tornadoes. So keep an eye on that. But anyways, stay safe, watch for your weather and the tropics. Thank you much for my chat, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's stream. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye. Stay safe, watch for your weather in the tropics. I'll see you guys at 6 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow.